Good morning, grown Black folks talk, expanding your experiences globally from the comfort of your own home. Okay, so yesterday we talked about confirmation bias, and then we talked about how limited experiences can lead to lifelong limitations unless you find a way to broaden your experiences. Now, one of the things that will blow up your confirmation bias real quick is by consistently getting involved with wider and wider groups of people. Now, travel is probably the best option, but it's not the option that's available to a lot of us for various reasons right now. COVID is kind of out there, um, but also travel is expensive. However, there is one surefire way. I am someone who has done very limited travel in the last 5 to 7 years because my responsibilities here inside my circle are great. So I have been, and also I'm kind of a homebody by nature anyway. And I live in San Francisco, which is international. There are a lot of parts of San Francisco I haven't seen yet. So with that being the case, and being someone who enjoys walking and can see a lot within 2 to 5 miles of my house, I'm not likely to do international travel anytime soon, just because of everything that's going on. I do have my passport, but in the meantime, I get a flow of information from people around the world because of the work I've talked to you about. Hive, which is my writing platform, it's a global platform. Writing, music, art, finance. A lot of people writing and making content about a lot of different things there. But the main thing is I'm consistent, so I receive a flow of information every day from around the world on a variety of different topics and exposed to a variety of different things. So even though I'm not actually traveling, I'm actually able to hear a lot of viewpoints. And this is something I want to pass on to you. Now, I will leave the description. In the description, I'll have the link to Hive because you can be paid in a little crypto. There is a bear market going on. Hive not worth what it was a year ago, but it's still more than nothing for sitting up and blogging. Um, and of course, if you study crypto at all, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been through a bear market already. This is the time when people get rich. You accumulate and then you just ride it back up. But the payoff is find something productive that you can do consistently. In Hive's case, Hive loves beautiful photographs and stories about them. It loves music and stories about music. It loves art and stories about the art. I've paid many bills just over time, just accumulating, being able to do this over. I mean, it's a lot of years now. It's a bunch of years now, but yeah, it's a good place for that, and it rewards consistency very well. Once you find an audience and you find a couple people with big upvotes that actually enjoy what you're doing, it's not going to be enough to pay big bills. You let's just say that my lunch money has been paid though, and some months more than that. But the payoff is if you take everything that's connected to Hive and its predecessor, that paid. Now we begin to talk about the information, the viewpoints, the people that I've met, and also just perspective about global life. I was reading through the content promotion tool that now is attached to Hive called List Nerds. Now, List Nerds is going through an update, it just kind of shaking itself out of an update. So we're going to wait till the end of this week to let that settle down before I can recommend it without recommendation. New technology sometimes is kind of funny. I don't want y'all to get in there and have a bad experience. But if you are adventurous, listeners.com is out there. And I'll talk more about it when it settles down. But through going through there, I get a whole lot of Hive content fed to me. It's like I don't have to actually go on Hive and look for it. A lot of it is already there. So I just read through my inbox and see things that are interesting to me. And every now and again, well, depending on how you think, you can actually find information that really can change your life or make your life a lot better because you get fed through. These are some of the most dynamic people who really believe they have some content out there that should be seen. So learn a lot. I've been on listeners since the beginning of May. Learn a lot. Been on Hive from and its predecessor for now. But this is year three. Learn a lot because even though I'm not traveling, I have the advantage of being in an environment where there are thoughts coming from around the globe. There's perspectives and images and pictures. When the war with Ukraine broke out in February, the Ukrainian members of Hive gave us information about what was happening on the ground as they were experiencing it. And this allowed people to donate directly. By the way, things are relative. I was reading through the blog of an African woman today, and what she's doing with her Hive proceeds is that she not only is sustaining herself, but she's also looking out for the women of her village. And so she was going through what she was raising for a particular woman. And she said, I'm now raising money to put one of her children, she's a widow. And so I'm now raising money to put one of her children through school. And this is the amount that I'm looking for. And it worked out to about $47 in USD terms. And when you see stuff like that, you're just kind of like, now wait, even with inflation, arm just disappeared off the camera here. Even with inflation, you realize that, okay, first of all, Black women are coming out, African women are coming out online and just putting out what needs to be done and finding people who are bold enough to find people around the world to help them. That's number one. They're not thinking about being held back because they're trying to save their sisters. And then second of all, there are places in the world that you can live. Now, I'm not saying that any one of us would want to live in that portion of Africa at this particular moment. It would be a terrible adjustment. But it also lets you know things are relative. So she's asking for donations in Hive, which also tells you that Hive sells for good money around the world at this point. Meaning, and then if you go through the platform, you find out you meet people in countries who are getting their entire lives on Hive. And it lets you know. But you also notice the spirit of the people. Every place in the United States is not looking to be filthy rich and driven by American consumerism. You don't need a lot of things if you don't want a lot of things. When you have a sense of your needs and gratitude for those being met and gratitude for whatever else is going on, the other thing Hive is doing, I believe it's in Ghana right now, there's a village of people that is building a borehole, a well with a faucet, and it's being financed by Hive. Now, there's other cryptos that are involved with this. Cardano has an African project. Cardano and Hive and Bitcoin are big in Venezuela right now, Argentina. Quiet as kept. Ukraine and Russia are having their own little crypto back and forth because you can't really get good money into Russia, but Bitcoin is there, and a lot of people are donating to Ukraine in Bitcoin as well. So it's an interesting situation going on out there. It's a whole financial world that you wouldn't know about, but you have to be in the company of people who are having these conversations. So even though I'm sitting right here, I have not moved today. I'm sitting right here. I haven't moved. Here I am, sitting here, haven't moved yet from doing this video. Sitting right here, or sitting right here, or sitting right here. But the thing about it is, my mind is open. And by the way, just as long as we're on the subject, again, this is going to really mess with your confirmation biases about life because you're going to see and read the stories. And by the way, you don't have to use Hive. If you're more comfortable with Facebook, what I recommend, or TikTok, or YouTube, I recommend looking for groups and playlists. Find a channel that's different from what you know about. And just watch. I guarantee you that if you watch Stephanie Perry and Alicia Renice, the artist, long enough, you will change your entire life. Because here's the thing, when you really begin to get to know people, even through what they put out, yeah, people can put on a show, but real recognized real. You really begin to listen to the stories. Another way to do this, if you have PBS, and most people do in the country, get the World Channel. Here around here, it's 9/3, but find out what PBS is channel is World Channel and watch that. Or go on PBS and find out where that is online. I don't know because we do get that. We do have World Channel. Find out, learn stories from around the world. If you can't travel right now, which is a situation for a lot of us, this is how you can expand your experiences without leaving the company of your own home, so that you do not have to wait till you get a certain amount of money. Oh, by the way, because I was actually reading through these things today, I did get $1,000 tip. I told you there's a whole world out there most of us know nothing about, but you have to be willing to show up productively. While I was just doing what I was doing, it just so happened that the listener feed happened to feed someone in who had noticed something that I hadn't noticed in the market today. And he's not from here, the person that put that tip out there. This is what happens when you expand your experiences. Do something good consistently. Go find people interested in doing good things consistently online. This, by the way, is also the flip side of why you cannot give too much of your YouTube viewing, viewing plus fooling. You cannot be fooling on YouTube, which is viewing foolishness, okay? I didn't mean to make up that word. We're going to roll it. You cannot spend too much time fooling on YouTube, viewing the foolery. Because time that you take fooling, since we accidentally made up the word, we're going to roll with it. The time you spend fooling on any social media, viewing the foolery, is time that you are not spending reading things that are productive, reading things that are wholesome, reading things that are going to build you and your mind up, reading things going to expand your understanding of the real world outside your confirmation bias. And I must say, for Black people, this is really important. Think about the effects of slavery and segregation down to our grandparents, people who were kept from knowing about anything outside their community. So we come from a limited knowledge base because of this. So it is imperative. But then when you find yourself doing this, it's really bad. Everybody has confirmation bias. It's really bad to have a confirmation bias starved by insufficient information. This is especially important for us. I said yesterday that people are limited by what they think it is to be a man or a woman in the world. People are limited by very weak ideas about masculinity and femininity, most of which come from white supremacy. Nearly Fuller, compensatory code. Can't give you that full title right now, it's too long. But Nearly Fuller, unless you understand white supremacy, everything you think you know will confuse you. Well, okay, but you also have to look at, okay, step outside the box. You have to think outside the box. How do you think outside the box? You listen to people outside the American box. Let's just go United States. Even the Canadian box is outside the box. The Mexican box is definitely outside the box. That's informed by an entirely different culture and cultural expectations. Afro Latinos, that's a whole different. And then by the time you get to wrap your mind around that, you learn the history of Brazil, you're gonna deal with some confederados. I'm just saying, there's Nazis in Costa Rica and Argentina. There's a lot going on out there just when you just tip off south of the border. So you get different viewpoints. Some of the greatest documentaries I've ever written, of course, had to be translated into English. El General, talking about Calles, who was president, and then El Jefe Maximo for a long time in Mexico. So when you look at what went on between Porfirio Diaz in the 1890s, and by the time you get to Calles and the Mexican Revolution and the assassinations and the foolishness that happened in between, and the religious wars between the Mexican government and the church and all the stuff that happened. And then when you kind of look at immigration today and you're like, okay, I understand this better than I did. It doesn't mean that I've necessarily changed my political position, whatever it may be, but I understand how it just so happened the United States was meddling in there and created some of the situations that now lead to us dealing with this massive immigration problem. And we mean meddling beyond the fact that California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona used to be part of Mexico, and people from there, of course, had free passage. And nobody told them they could not continue to do this until much, much later. And then the United States messed in there and really messed things up for a lot of people. This is also why the United States does not encourage you to learn geography. Did you just give you another example? I talked to a Chilean and nearly was very offensive to him. And I had to let him know, look, I'm not trying to offend you. I know about what happened in your country on September 11th when your duly elected president was taken out and the US was behind it. I know about it. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm just saying that it is a situation. And he calmed down because he's like, okay, I'm not dealing with another chauvinistic, rah rah a member of the citizen of the United States. She actually has some knowledge. So let me just calm down. If you don't know, this is why you're not encouraged to know these things. But you need to know these things. Now, I know there's big arguments about global society and global governments. I get that. You learning about how other people in the world do things will not change that one way or another. For those of you who are Bible students, you can't stop that anyway. So you may as well take advantage of the opportunities that there are. I am a citizen of the United States of America. I hope that my nation will make it so that I can always be, although there are troubling signs on the horizon. In the meantime, however, I don't limit myself to just thinking of myself as just an African American. It is okay for me and anyone else to learn what other people are doing in the world. Expand your horizons, expand your knowledge, listen to people from everywhere. And while we're on the subject, shout out to Chris. We have a subscriber who is a conservatarian, a viewpoint that I have never heard of before he explained it on the Themis and Thought show. Listen to some people in the United States of America who are different than you. And now, Chris is a very respectful man. He's not abusive in any way to Black people. Don't get me wrong, ears can't go with me, but don't be afraid. Go find out what other people's viewpoints are. Even if you don't agree, get an understanding. I always feel like, let me know what you believe, because I like to be armed when if I have to come to a fight, I'd like to be armed and know what I got to do. Do something productive. Do it consistently. Get with people around the world virtually and do it with them. And listen and learn from their experiences. And you will not have to leave your own home to be able to escape the limitations of your personal experience. All right. Y'all have a good day now. Hopefully the wind will stay down today. It has been extremely breezy in the afternoons, which is very common from April, May, June, pretty much July, August, September. The fog finally decided to get on up here today, finally blew in. So thank God it's not 92 anymore. San Franciscans we don't know. We don't know what to do above 90. We just like, we don't have air conditioning. We ain't got nothing. So thank God that's over. But tomorrow, since the atmosphere has done its changeover, hopefully we'll have something in the park. We'll see. In the meantime, have a good day and thank you for listening.